Design Review Board, and where we attempt to assist residents and property owners in making improvements to their properties in the historic districts and the overlay districts. We usually take a few minutes to review minutes, and then we'll have a motion. This is back for a December meeting that we had a few months back. If you all can be reviewing those, and then we'll have a motion regarding accepting those minutes. And then as we go into the agenda, our secretary, acting secretary, will be reading each one of these, and as we read them, if you would come forward if you're representing this particular application, and then just give your name and address, and if you have something to add, you're welcome to add that, and we may ask them questions. I think most everybody who's here on our regular meeting agenda has been to a work session, which is helpful, so we probably don't have a whole lot of questions. But would you like to, somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the December 5th, 2017 work session.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion second to approve December 5th work session minutes. If you approve, raise your right hand. Okay, the minutes are approved. And I think now we can go into new business. Mr. Bland.
All right, so first application is CERH 18-012. This is for 443 Lawrence Street Southwest. In conjunction with some interior improvements, the applicant is proposing various changes to primarily door openings on the property. And I kind of, I'll just clarify that the applicant did not submit these labeled with the letters, but I've tried to add them in there for your, to make it a little bit easier for you. So the primary elevation that you can see from a right-of-way is listed as elevation A from the Lawrence Street right-of-way. Currently there is a 6/6 window, essentially mid-wall on the ground floor centered, and there are two 6/6 windows on the second story that are divided. They're requesting to replace that first floor window with a standard sized door and standing seam copper rain hood. Also, that would be partially visible from right away on this elevation. We have here labeled as B. It also corresponds to D on the elevation you have on your screen. They'd be replacing some casement windows on the ground floor extension, replacing those with some divided light French doors. And then the least visible of these from right of way, primarily seen from their driveway as you enter the property, is elevation C, at which there is a small ground floor 4x4 window to be again replace that with a standard size door, standing seam copper rain hood awning, and then the applicant is here to represent the item.
Good. Oh, thank you. And would you someone come forward, please, and just give us your name? We know you, but if you get it into the recording, I think that's what.
Sure. I'm Chris Lawler, a resident at 443 Lawrence Street Southwest, and my wife Ruth is here with me as well.
Good, thank you. And as you've been to the work session, and that was very informative, and I think it's brought us all up to date, but I'll ask if anyone wants to clarify any of this. You've got a lot of documentation that is very helpful, and we'll see how it goes, but if you have something you want to add. Yeah,
just to add, I'm not sure how important it is, but our plan on the two doors at positions A and C is to reuse two existing doors that are sort of side by side right next to where the C is shown on the diagram right now. They're actually in very good shape, and they're standard size doors, and that's what makes sense to us to reuse those in those two door locations.
That does make a difference. Yeah, that's something that we encourage if you can reuse what you have
The other thing that I wanted to mention is that since we submitted the package, we've had some additional discussions with the proposed window manufacturer, which is Pella, and they've sort of convinced us, well, partially convinced us, and we've talked to our architect that we probably shouldn't be dividing the windows up quite as aggressively as shown on this drawing. These are 18 panes per door in the doors that are facing at B and at D, and we would like, if possible, to go with a sort of a larger pattern. It's still a French door pattern, but instead of a 3x6, we're looking at a 2x3 pattern. And I do have some drawings that I bought with me that our architect did that I could distribute.
Yeah. How many different ones is it? Is it just one sheet?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. We'll when we get to Mr. Ryan, we'll let him
Thank you.
assign another exhibit to them.
Yeah, so we would include these as Exhibit C into the record.
Okay.
So the back of these is just a blown-up view of one of the views. I kind of ran out of paper right before I came here, so what you have is on the smaller on the front is showing both views, and the proposed change to what we had originally submitted for the windows.
Now,
And they're recommending this 2x3, a 6 light.
They're 6 light instead of the 3x6 18 light that we had there, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is the window guy thought it was going to look just a little bit too much with that many panes in that area, and the other consideration is it is a nice view out those windows to a small garden, and we wanted to get the benefit of that view or improve that view slightly. And they are, in talking to Pella, the mullions are 7/8 mullions, which are exactly the same dimension as the whole rest of the house. They're permanently affixed, sort of the top end Pella window, permanently affixed on the outside, permanently affixed on the inside, with spacer bars in between, so that when you look at it, you're not seeing through and, seeing sort of a kind of synthetic view of a divided light window.
it's sort of a drastic change from 18 to 6.
It is a big change, yeah. The architect liked, when he drew it for me, he chose 2x3 because he said he thought the perspective of the panes was similar to what was on the rest of the house, but larger for sure.
It's a definite departure from the. I think the 18 was busy. I do agree. They were a little busy, but we'll let the board comment. That was the main thing. That's a potential adjustment from what's the submittal then, I guess.
Yeah, that was the only.
Yeah.
That was the only change.
Yeah. Yeah. You all have some comments on it?
Well, my comments mirror your comments a moment ago. Is that this is a pretty big change, and I like the look of the original ones better, but I think it will open up your view better. So I can see the merits of each.
Did you all have another? Did he have an alternative that's sort of in between the 6 and 18, like 12 or something?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I think probably 2x4 would be actually proportionally more accurate. Once you go to 3 across, I think you're sort of more committed to the 6 down, to maybe 5 down, but you're sort of more committed to it to keep a slightly rectangular pane. So, you know, instead of 2 by 3, 2 by 4 is, I think, a reasonable option, and it's actually, that ends up being proportional, right, to the 3 by 6. Yes, they're both, it's 2/3 in both dimensions if we did it that way.
Yeah, I think that'd be my comment, is that certainly it allows for more glass and better view, but I don't know that I agree with the window guy that more muttons is bad when you look at the other muttons. And it looks like you could do 12 possibly. 3, 4, 2 times 4 is 12 or 15, but any other opinions on it? The other part about it, it's mostly you guys that are going to see them. I guess the person that might buy it in the future will see it. I'm not sure how visible it is from the street.
Yeah,
Now
it's in a courtyard behind the garage, actually. It's not very visible.
And the little door that's actually visible, is it changing some or not? It's just a...
No, that's one of the doors we were just talking about moving.
It's just a half light.
Yeah, half light, yeah. Yeah, actually, these 2 French doors aren't visible at all from the street, because the garage is in front of them and there's a fence there. If you took the fence down, it's a relatively high fence. If you took the fence, actually the fence is just right here. It's covered in a vine right now, but that's the fence. In theory, if you took the fence down, you could see at an angle in and see one of those sets of French doors. But we don't have any plans to do that. In fact, we're actually thinking of extending the fence so that it goes to the right, further to the right, so that you couldn't even see the new door location that we're talking about putting in. Partly because if you look at the house there's really nothing too attractive. You know, there's a power meter and a couple of vents there.
You're not making it worse at all. That elevation you're improving it. Yeah. And we recognize that sort of the awkward way you have to enter the house now.
Yeah, most of the door movements are for ease of access, both from the driveway, bringing groceries into the kitchen, and then from this side door going back towards the stable that we added last year.
Yep. I think you're doing good to the house overall. Yeah, just a matter of the 6 versus 10 or 12. And I would probably personally have preferred a few more muttons. I don't think 18. I think 18 was too many. 18 panes, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, but we'll see how the motion goes, and I think all in all, these are helpful.
You sounded, Mr. Lawless, you sounded a little hesitant about whether you guys like the new window design as well. What were your thoughts?
We like them because we feel like it opens it up a little bit more. And just looking at the elevation drawings, it seems like it doesn't detract, at least in our view. I don't think it's too big of an issue whether it's 2 by 3 or 2 by 4 from our perspective. And to be honest, 2 by 4 maintains the same aspect ratio of the panes. 2 by 3 doesn't quite. So I would be comfortable with doing that if that would make it more palatable to everybody here. But we actually are, we would like to go that way if possible.
With the bigger panes.
Yeah, with the bigger panes.
It looks like to me, when I look at it, that it's going to stand out more as a change in the original home with the bigger panes. And so I don't know that that's a bad thing. A lot of times if we have someone putting an addition on, we make you put a corner in somewhere so you can see where the addition was, you know, and where it's not part of the original home.
Yeah.
But it kind of jumps out to me more as a newer upgrade, you know, than having more windows on there.
Yeah, that's what I think is my concern, is that as you walk up, your eye immediately goes to this is new, and you guys are the ones that are going to see it primarily.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a sketch here that shows the two other options, and it sounds like our board would leave it up to you all if you. I think we appreciate. Yes, sir. You want to put that on the? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not as close a match to the windows. It's just that there's so many of them. You know, we're talking about 4 doors side by side, and then another 3 around the corner. And there was a little bit of a concern that it was just going to be too busy with 18 panes on each window, even though those panes were pretty close in size to the much smaller windows up above on the 2nd floor. The other thing I just want to make note of is that the windows that are there now is one big casement picture window with 2 rectangular casement windows on the side. So it's not like we're you know, it's definitely an improvement over that.
You're not ruining something that's...
Put it that way in terms of adapting to the current, to the original design of the house.
Yeah.
And where that window is, that was an addition to the, like a...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I believe that was a little jut-out addition to the kitchen, probably back in the 1950s. I think there used to be a little porch there, and they added a picture window and 2 casement windows that opened sideways on each side.
Okay, well, we've...
That's a possibility. It's, I don't know, it's attractive.
One on the left or the right? Because you did a couple of different designs, didn't you?
Oh, I was looking at the whole thing in total as an option.
That's another option too. It looks like that you have 10, let's see, yeah, there are 3 times 5, is the one on the left is 15, is that right? 2, 3, 4, 5 times is 15 as opposed to 18, so it just drops one out. And in essence, it takes the previous one and makes them a little more rectangular instead of square.
Yeah.
The one on the right is closer to what y'all had brought in, except instead of 6, it's 10, I believe, because so see these other. You look at the windows. Look at the windows above. You can see they generally are 3 by, 3 by 4. Yeah. So those are 2 other options. It sounds like our board is sort of wants to leave it up to you, though, I believe.
I think so.
Unless you want to choose one. And I'm not thrilled with all the glass. It just seems like you'll walk up and it'll renovation. It'll stand out.
The 2 by 3.
Yeah, that's right. 2 by 3.
Yeah.
But it is a door. The others are window. Well, it's not are they doors?
Yeah, they're doors.
They are doors, yeah. So they're doors. Have to remember that. These are...
Well, actually, a couple of them are, maybe.
Maybe they're solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not really windows either. Okay.
It looks better with more windows, but I I don't have a problem with you doing your house how you want to do it, you know, so that's the
We're so
bottom line.
glad you're adopting the house
Right.
and improving it. So,
Okay, well, my preference, certainly willing to move away from the 2x3 to get some more panes on it. I don't quite want to stand here, if you're okay with it, and choose right now, because I'd like to
Let's leave it open.
run it by my architect and
Yeah,
just
let's leave it
make sure
open.
he doesn't have anything that I haven't thought of and in terms of the aesthetics, but I understand what you guys are after.
yeah, so that doesn't look quite so new to the historic house.
Right.
Good, okay. We'll ask if anybody else has an opinion about your windows here. Not literally, but we do typically just see if others want to speak with regard to the application. I don't think we have anyone else, in which case we can go ahead and have a motion. And
I do have one other question.
yeah,
I mentioned this in the preliminary, and in my haste to put this package together, Ryan actually was very gracious about giving me an extra day or two to get it together, because I didn't realize I didn't remember that it was due 2 weeks ahead of time. But anyway, in my haste, I forgot to mention the second floor windows and the discussion we briefly had about the desire to replace those. There are these two right here.
yes.
Plus two that face the other above the new door that we're talking about putting in, plus two that face on the back, for a total of 6 windows. And our plan there is to replace them with identical 6/6 windows. And my question is, do I need to do a separate package to get approval for that, or can we
I think we just
approve
add
it?
it
It's
into
the
this
same.
one.
It's the same style window, same exact size, but it is the Pella aluminum clad wood type window that we're looking at, with the divided light and the spacer bars.
Did I understand the windows are deteriorated?
They're bad. These windows were not original to the house.
Yeah.
That second story was actually
Hey.
added as an addition, and probably in the 1950s, maybe early 1960s. And it was, the windows are just
Right, you
they're
told
just-
us that.
they're
You
very bad.
mentioned it in the work session. We were familiar with the fact that
Yes.
you
I just forgot to mention it in my
in there.
proposal.
I think we can just add it to the motion, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I believe we noticed it as windows and doors. It didn't make its way onto the agenda as such, but when we
yeah.
did the
Yeah,
notice, it
you
was for
told us in
windows.
the work session.
Okay.
These are different, I remember your statement. These were part of an addition, weren't the same quality.
Yeah, they're
Didn't match.
definitely not the same quality, and
Yeah.
they've kind of fallen
Yeah,
apart.
you're going to go back to more original quality.
Yes.
That'd be fine, thank you. Now,
Okay.
whoever's going to make the motion needs to describe that. Yeah, how many windows is it?
6 total on the
Six-
second floor.
6 more on the second floor.
6/6 windows, double hung.
6/6, and they're in the, what we think of was an addition.
Yeah, I know it was an addition.
Yeah.
That section right there was originally a
Is that the
single.
one with the picture window in the middle?
Yes. The picture window, we weren't planning on doing anything with. We were just talking about the double hungs, because they're barely operable right now. and
The picture
badly
window is
deteriorated.
another one that doesn't quite fit either, but,
Yeah.
but if you're, it's there, so. Okay, all righty. We'll go ahead and add that to motion then. I think we're ready for a motion, actually.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application as submitted with the additional information about replacing 6 windows with aluminum clad wood to match existing button patterns, and they have the option of whatever pattern they choose on the French doors that are not visible.
I think that's fine.
Second.
Okay, then a motion second. Any discussion? Yeah. I think we don't approach alterations to contributing properties lightly for a lot of reasons, but these seem to be very much appropriate and practical, and they're not major entrances. So we do have an allowance for secondary entrances, and I think it'll be an overall improvement in just the way the house functions. So it's a good, in my opinion, these are good changes. So all in favor of the motion and the application as it's amended, raise your right hand. Okay, good. We can go to the second item here, number 2.
All right. Item number 2 is consideration of a finding of demolition by neglect for property at 325 Carlton Avenue Southeast. The zoning ordinance, section 5.2.4B, essentially states that if a property falls into a state of disrepair to the point that is essentially self-demolishing, that the board can issue a finding of demolition by neglect, which could result in a zoning violation per the zoning ordinance. In this particular case, 325 Carlton Avenue Southeast sustained a structure fire March 21st, 2016, causing fairly significant exterior damage to an upper story room, in particular on the northeast corner of the structure, which has not been, at least to the exterior extent, remediated at this point. So for you is a consideration of a finding of demolition by neglect for this property.
Okay, and I believe we've got our applicant here tonight. If you could give us your name officially for the record.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sarah Brooker. I'm here representing my family, the Brookers, in our house, 325 Carlton Avenue Southeast.
Thank you. Yeah, and we appreciate you coming in and coming to the work session especially. And as you heard, it has been a concern because of the length of time. It's also a very visible and historic property, as you know. And it sounds like we might have a path forward now. And would you all have any questions of her? We've got a lot of, I think, information as far as what your intentions are. That you're here for the purpose of getting contractors, getting prices to do the repairs.
Yes.
Is that right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. So,
Yeah. I think the main thing is just to, we've all agreed on what needs to be done, is the timing. And we probably will need to make an official finding, as we discussed earlier, and that will start this official clock. And I'll let one of our commissioners determine how they want to word that and what the timing. I think we've talked about 90 or 120 days to have a contractor on board. Mm-hmm. And probably at some point come to the meeting, and then we'll see how quickly we can get the work done. It sort of depends on the amount of work that they discover. Now what I'll do, we have this formality of asking if others want to speak. And if you don't have anything else you need to add, I think we've gotten some.
I want to just,
talk to her? Ask her?
just
Okay.
get on the, I don't know, we talked about this in the work session, but we talked in the work section about you coming back by the July meeting, which would be the first week in July, to hopefully have some plans, but I think we need to hear from you and the progress that you're making by our July meeting. So that we can make sure that everything is on track. And I guess I would foresee that this would go on the July agenda for whatever the next phase is. Okay? Is that, you think that's reasonable?
yes,
Okay,
I do.
good.
Thank you.
And actually, if you get everything together and you want to come in sooner, you may want the work to get started sooner, since it's been this long. It'd be good if it could start in 30 days, but we don't want to put that short a time frame. But I think for the sake of the house, the sooner.
Our July meeting is the day before the 4th of July.
Okay,
So
so maybe before?
so the June meeting might be a better goal for you.
Okay,
Okay?
That's why I was just checking, sorry. Yeah, I remember the 4th of July was really close to that meeting date, so.
do you have the June meeting date too?
Yeah,
June 5th.
Okay, thank you.
okay, so
3 months from now.
90 days, yeah.
That's 90 days.
Like, I was calculating starting on April, April 1. That was how I came up with July. Just to,
Yeah, if you think that'll work, and I think it'd be for everybody's benefit, mostly the house, but your family as well, to move that up if you,
Right, well, as I said, in the work session, we're ready to start immediately, and we've already been in
Yeah.
contact with
Yeah.
contractors.
yeah,
So.
let's try that, then we'll see.
I was just going to mention, Mr. Chair, that, even if you did set a July date, there would be nothing that would prohibit them from coming sooner had they had plans in place sooner as well.
Sure.
So,
Yeah,
but it's just important that
right.
we
No
don't want
later
this
than-
to drag on. So that's why we're,
We don't either, not
Yeah.
anymore.
yeah. And you may not want to come here Tuesday night, July 5th, if you can come in sooner. So, good. Well, thank you. Anything else, anybody want to add? Good. We'll let you sit down, and then we'll see if someone else wants to speak, and then we'll have our motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and then you're welcome if neighbors want to speak with regard. I think it's pretty clear. Everybody seems to be on the same page now, and it's a matter of how quickly we can get these things done. So would you all like to frame a motion?
Doesn't
Mr. Attorney?
have a number on it? No,
It is not assigned a number.
okay. Mr. Chairman, with respect to 325 Colleton Avenue Southeast, I move that we find pursuant to Section 524B, that the property has been allowed to deteriorate to a serious state of disrepair or to remain in a serious state of disrepair so as to result in the deterioration of any architectural feature that would produce a detrimental effect on the character of the structure or property or upon the historic district. And specifically, we have deterioration of exterior walls and ineffective waterproofing of exterior walls as examples of items under the zoning ordinance. And further, that the Brooker family has until our July 3rd meeting to produce a plan to remedy these problems.
What was that date?
My third.
Our July 3rd meeting.
July 3rd meeting, okay. Okay. And with the provision that if you have information sooner, the sooner the better.
Right. Now, I just wanted a question for Lucy. Do we want to say anything about the fact that the penalties assigned here are deferred until a later date?
Yeah, and the board will not assess or recommend assessing any penalties so long as we have progress by July 3rd.
And I think that that progress would entail a specific contractor, not that, oh, we've talked to some contractor, because
Yeah,
we're already there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you all are ready to begin.
Yeah, well, should I second it so we can discuss it?
Yeah.
Second?
Okay.
And that a contractor be selected with some kind of schedule be presented.
Well, that's what I meant by, I think I said a plan.
Right.
Yeah, so that is a concrete plan.
Yeah, we've been modifying your
Right.
your motion, but
Because, you know, what we really want to see is whatever you do to the house, you're going to have to bring it back before the committee and make an application for that. And so we're just wondering what that looks like.
But we want,
yeah,
we want it to move along, too.
Yes.
Yeah, right,
Right.
yeah.
yeah. And
Sooner is better.
And since we're in discussion, we can say the minimum is that, hey, I have a contractor and his name is here and here's the contract. But then, because we have to approve some of these items, you could go ahead and do an application. That would be the preferred way, to go
Yes.
ahead and do an application and have that on the agenda too. And we can vote and you could start the next morning. So I think that would be a good approach. Okay, we've got a motion and a second, and sounds like a consensus. All in favor of your finding, your motion, raise your right hand. Okay, good. And we want to thank Ms. Sarah Buckner for coming, making the trip, and hopefully this will help preserve your house and put it back in the condition it needs to be in. Thank you. And I think now we're finished with our agenda. Is that right? So we'll call the meeting adjourned tonight. Thank you all for coming.